We've already studied that Datalab is a virtual machine instance which comes pre-installed with Jupyter notebooks and all of the tools that you might require in order to run your machine learning models. Now let's see how we can connect to our Datalab instance on the Google Cloud platform. Click on the hamburger icon on the top left and go to APIs and services. In order to be able to use Datalab, we need to enable the compute APIs on our GCP account. So go to dashboard and this will take you to a screen which looks like this. Click on enable APIs and services at the very top. The next screen will give you a search box where you can search for the API that you want to enable. We want to enable the Google Compute APIs. Type in compute and select the Google Compute Engine API. Click on the enable button here in bright blue and wait for a little bit till the API is enabled. We'll now go back to the main page of our project. Click on Google Cloud Platform. That will take you to the home page for this test project. We are now ready to bring up our Cloud Shell terminal window, which will allow us to connect to a VM instance on which Datalab will be installed. Open up Cloud Shell and make sure your gcloud components are updated. Gcloud components update is what you have to run first, and make sure you run gcloud components install Datalab. The next command will actually create a VM instance which will have Datalab installed on it. We use the Datalab create command from our terminal window, and the name of our VM instance is Training Data Analyst. You can pick any name that you want to. Just make sure you remember the name so that you can connect to this instance later. If you already have a Datalab VM instances that you've created earlier using the Datalab create command, you can connect to this instance by calling Datalab connect, as you see on screen here in the subtitle at the bottom. Creating an instance, you use Datalab create. Connecting to a previous instance, use Datalab connect. When you call Datalab create, it'll ask you to specify a zone where you want your VM instance created. I'm going to use zone 37, which is Asia South, and then wait for my instance to be set up. It'll first create a disk to attach to my VM instance, and then it'll create the repository of Datalab notebooks and go through the bunch of steps needed in order to create the Datalab instance called Training Data Analyst. This command will create an SSH tunnel between your Cloud Shell instance and your Datalab instance, and then ask you to click on the web preview button on the top right in order to connect to Datalab. So notice the top right web preview button. I'm going to change the port which I'm going to use for my Datalab instance. I'm going to set it to port 8081. Go ahead and hit change and preview, and this will open up your Datalab instance on a new browser window. Now this happened very quickly. That's because I've sped up the video, but it might take a few minutes to set up and connect. Within the docs folder here, you'll see a number of test IPython notebooks, such as the Hello World IPYNB. You can open up this notebook instance just like you were running Jupyter on your local machine, and then you can use the code cells in order to type in your Python code. Notice I've printed hello, and hello is displayed to screen. You are now set up with Datalab and Jupyter IPython notebooks on Datalab. All of this code is running on a VM instance on your Google Cloud platform. It's not on your local machine. At this point, if you've chosen to use the Google Cloud platform in order to run your TensorFlow code, you're now up and ready to work with Datalab.